Hey guys, what's going on? Your boy Diego here. Today I'm going to give you guys an intro to Adobe Premiere. Mostly involves just importing, cutting, if you want to add some transitions and how creative you want to get, and then you export. That's pretty much it, guys. So the first thing we're going to do is open Adobe Premiere. So here we have it, and you click on new project, introduction to, I'm gonna name it Introduction to Premiere, and we're gonna open it. Now that we have the program open, we're going to go to File, Import. Here you pretty much choose the files that you want to put in your project. Importing files. All right, and here you have all the files. So there are many ways to go about this. You can either go here, File, and you open up a sequence. Here you choose the type of sequence you want to open, and I mean, you could do this, but usually what I do is I just drag whatever the first clip. This clip right here was shot at 24 frames per second. Therefore, I'm going to drag it into here where it says drop media here to create a sequence. And guys, you create a sequence. That's pretty much it. Your project is going to be exported at 24 frames per second. You have all your clips here on the left side. This is something I shot in New York with an artist called Spizzy Turn, and if you guys don't know who he is, you should definitely check him out. This here, guys, was shot at 120 frames per second, which was shot with my Sony a6300. Make sure you guys check out my Sony a6300 tutorial video. If you haven't already, I'll leave a link in the description below. Anyways, getting back to this, and what you can do here is any part that you like, you can select the in button here, mark in, or shortcut for Mac is the letter I. You let it play.
Yeah. You think that game is fuck.
And let's say right there, you select mark out, which is the button right beside. And if you guys by any chance don't have any of these buttons, any of the mark in or mark out buttons, you can always customize it here in the button editor, this little plus right here. You press it, you can choose any of these. You can press, you can select maybe this one, and you just drag it over and it's there. But since I don't want that there, I'm gonna press cancel. Okay, so now that you've selected the clip, you can manually drag it. If you hover over this video icon here, this is how you drag just the video. And that's it. As you can see, it has no audio. If you want to drag the audio, you click on the full clip and you drag it there. You drag it to your sequence.
Yeah.
As you can see, now we have audio. Or if you want to drag just the audio, you hover over the audio icon, click it, and you bring it down. Now you have audio. So now that we have that, just a matter of choosing the shots you like. Edit a music video, and I go more in depth on how I edit my personal videos. So if you guys want to see more of that, then you guys can definitely check out that video. Since this was shot at 120 frames per second, guys, if you want to slow this footage down, you definitely can. All you gotta do is go to speed duration, click that, and you can select if you want to slow it down by half. Look at that, guys. That looks really cool. So if you want to slow it down by half, that's exactly how it's going to look like. What I like to do is I like to maybe cut it there. So here you have the selection tool. I don't really use any of these except the razor tool and maybe the text tool. The razor tool, what that does, it just cuts the clip. So we have a complete clip here. So let's say you want to cut it right there. You would select the razor tool, or in Mac it's C, and you cut it. You cut it right there, and now you have two clips. Now you can separate the two. So you can either remove this one, or what I like to do is speed duration. That's Command R shortcut, and I can, because I shot at 120 frames per second, I can slow it down to 25%, up to 25%. And now you have it even slower. Look at that, guys. That looks really cool. now that we've cut up our clips, here is where we can do the color correction. So for example, this is the white balance tool. We can select a very bright part, which would be here. I clicked it, it kind of balanced out the white. As you can see here, move the blue, it went a little bit to blue and I gave it some purple. Here you can choose the exposure if you want it brighter or darker. Mind you guys, when you go brighter, I've noticed that it does get a little pixelated. The black started to get a little pixelated. So I usually try to leave it at 0. Contrast, it does darken up the picture a lot. I usually just add a little tiny bit. Highlights, to kind of bring down those nasty shines that you don't want in the picture. Bring it down maybe. Shadows, this is pretty much, again, shadows, brighter or darker. I usually try to keep it at 0, especially for this right now. Whites, again, it just makes the picture brighter or darker. The blacks, you can play around with it. I usually don't touch these. I usually just play with the contrast a bit maybe. Saturation, here's where you pretty much either can make it very vibrant, or you could make the colors a little more dull depending on the look you're going for. Now here in the creative section, it has a ton of looks that's already pre-built. I don't really use this a lot just because they are not the best all the time. So I highly suggest you guys play around with your colors, or I mean, you could get lucky and if you just want a simple, I mean, this one's pretty cool, right? It's a little too blue for my liking. Anyways, I usually go none, or you can upload your own, and that's a whole different video. So we're gonna continue. Here's where you sharpen the picture. Be careful, you don't want to over sharpen it. Vibrance, this is pretty much, I would suggest leave it alone unless you wanted more vibrant. Saturation, again, and there's not really much of a difference between the saturation here and the saturation up here. Also, if you have applied one of these looks, you can control the intensity right here. But since we're not applying anything, we're not gonna worry about that. Here, I don't really touch the shadow tint nor the highlight tint because you can play around to see if there's a look you like, but I don't usually play around with those. Curves, now here, this is probably the more advanced video, and I am going to make a separate video on how to color grade it. So yeah, I'm not gonna get into it. Color wheel, this is secondary stuff. I'm not gonna get into it in this video. Over here on the side, we're gonna go to effects, and for the sake of it, we're gonna add one more clip. It's gonna be this. Nope. It's gonna be, let's see this one. We're gonna click this in, drag it out, and we're gonna select the video clip and we're gonna drag it all the way to the end. So here, once you go to effects, you can add all types of stuff, which would be more of the advanced video for you guys, but you have different things that you can do to your video. For the sake of this video, we're gonna keep it simple, and I'm just gonna show you some of the video transitions that I use. I mean, there's a ton of them that you can do here. Some of them are pretty cool that we're not gonna cover in this video. Some of the general, more basic transitions are here in this dissolve folder. You can add the additive dissolve, and what you do is you just grab it, bring it here, and it will go right in the middle of these two clips. So now if you want to go in closer, you can press Z, or this little zoom icon here. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. If you want to zoom out, you hold Option or Alt key, and it will make the little plus into a minus. Click, and you're back out to normal view, but we need to zoom in. Whoops, too much. Click out. Okay, so pretty much it's gonna look like this. Cool little effect there. If you wanna extend it, you just click in the middle, Careful you don't move your clip here. So you hover over, and now you see the little icon, and it's hovering over the cross dissolve effect. You can either extend it or you can drag it in, make it shorter. If you drag it out, it's gonna look like this, right? Slowly fades in. It's pretty cool. We also have cross dissolve. It's the more common transition to use, right? And this one just kind of blends in a little softer. Try it out and get creative. What I usually do is I usually end my videos with a dissolve. So dip to black is always good, or you can use dip to white, and it pretty much will end your video. Whatever you want to export on your sequence, make sure you press in and out. So now whatever's selected will be exported. So now that you've done that, you go to File, Export, Media, and you're gonna have this window here. And here you see the section that will be exported, right? Usually what I do is I just export it the way it is. I haven't had too much of a problem with it, but if it's for YouTube, there's a preset here. You go straight to YouTube and YouTube 1080 HD, and it will automatically set everything up for you. I mean, you could, the levels is just, all I know is that seeing other tutorials and seeing other export videos, it says to click on 5.1 on high profile. Careful, because your frame rate will change, so keep an eye out for that. See, and you just unclick that and you go to 20. What did we shoot at? We shot at 24 frames per second, so 23.976. Guys, it's very important. It's very, very important that your export frame rate is the same as the frame rate that you shot the video with. If you shoot at 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second, it's okay to export it at 30 frames per second or 24 frames per second. It's fine if you do that. 24 frames per second is gonna give it that film look. 30 frames per second is a little more for music videos. You could export it at 60 frames per second. I know a lot of people do export their videos at 60 frames per second. I'm not a huge fan of it, but you can try it out and maybe you might like it and your clients might like it. Now that we're here, you wanna click render at maximum depth, and over here, VR2 pass, and very important to click this stuff here. Use maximum render quality and use previews. Mind you guys, the more stuff you click, the more time it's gonna take for you to export your project. So once you have that, that's pretty much it. You change the output name. You can put it to Introduction to Premiere. That's about it, guys. You press save, you export it, and you're gonna have this. When it's done, it'll show up in your desktop. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. I hope you learned something today. I know there's some stuff that I didn't cover, like how to apply text, how to maybe zoom in, zoom out of stuff, how to scale it. I would say just get familiar with the program first. Try it on your own. This is just some of the stuff that I learned when I was starting. If you guys liked the video, click the like, subscribe to my channel. Feel free to comment below. Thank you for your time, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Take care.